Hello everyone, welcome to today's water cooler chat where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's orchestrating, delegating, broadcasting, transcoding, or what do I always pick 5 of them. I should probably not pick 5. Developing? Transcoding? Whatever. The point is, we're here to talk about all things Livepeer, and if you have any questions, we'll get through them on the introduction side of things, and then continue on to the chat. Next week, I'm going to try and invite one of the core devs to join us for a Q&A session around the new VOD update. But for today, we don't have an agenda or Q&A session ahead of us, so it'll just be a regular water cooler chat. I'll start with introductions, and then we'll jump right into it. So I'll start with myself. I'm Titan, been running the Titan node orchestrator since April 2021. And today my topic is about the discovery request, the broadcaster discovery process. I know that a couple of us have been talking in the broadcaster channel about this, but it's basically around having multiple nodes listed on chain as endpoints so that we can more globally distribute our nodes based on latency rather than like geolocation. There's a GitHub issue about it. I'll link it in the water cooler side chat here. Love your comments if you want to chime in on it. The team is going to be discussing it tomorrow at their triage meeting with Yondon. So if you have any comments about it, please throw it into the GitHub issue. That is my introduction. We'll move on to the first one I see on my list, which is G2. G2, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Yes, hi, I'm G2. I'm a founder in Web3 for Creative Organization DAO. We are getting further into kind of video streaming and whatnot for our platform. So we are looking to actively build more into using Livepeer, especially with transcoding and things like that. I'm relatively new to the community itself, but I'm here to learn and continue building our platform.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the community. Love to have you. BemaNode, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hi everybody, my name is Bora. Actually, I was thinking to have some questions about this VOD, this new feature, but as you mentioned, next week we will make a Q&A session with the guys who is responsible for the VOD. Maybe I will keep them for next week. It's okay for me right now.
Very cool. Well, it is a big update that they just released 2. It was just only a few hours ago that they announced it, so I'm sure we'll have a discussion around it, but we'll definitely get into that a bit more. It's a big update. Thank you for joining us, Bema. Chase, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hi everyone, it's Chase here with Chase Media. I've been running the node for about a year now, and it's been really great. And I don't have any topics today, just listening in. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Flo, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
So, hello everyone, I'm Flo from Moss Computing. I'm an orchestrator from Fremont. Don't have any topic for this week. I will keep my question for VOD when we'll have everything about it.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us. John, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hey, my name's John. I run Elite Encoder. We've been operating for about a little over a year. I've been working on some development projects in the community, and topic I have for today would be about the pricing structure with the VOD. Brad and I were talking about maybe developing some type of way for broadcasters and orchestrators to work out the type of stream and be able to exchange a different price based on that, and any brainstorming ideas, around where that could take the Livepeer network, like for other types of work, what kind of work, you think Livepeer could be useful for, just to kind of get the excitement around that idea. And that's just about all I have for today.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us. I really like the idea of you mentioning other types of work as well, not just VOD, but maybe maybe we build a pricing model for video manipulation, like advertising. So yeah, very, very cool. Thank you so much for joining us, John. Vires, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Well, I'm running the Vires.eth orchestrator since almost 4 years, and no topic from my side, just listening in.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us. And I see we have Brad in the audience. Always like to invite up Brad. If you want to come join us and join in on the discussion, just go ahead and raise your hand. I believe everyone now has the ability to invite people up. No, actually, it's just orchestrators now. Hey, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Before we overcorrected a bit. I think we went from only I can invite people up to everyone can invite people up and edit the channel. So now we've gone back to, okay, now orchestrators can manage this channel, which makes sense because it's the orchestrator water cooler chat. So yeah, orchestrators now have master ability. So if orchestrators do see people in the audience, feel free to invite them up. I've invited everyone up so far, but they've declined, so no worries. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first topic, let's just jump right into it, which is the VOD update. I noticed that there was an announcement about 6 hours ago. Tom, we are now moving all production VOD jobs. Please tag me. Bema, do you want to start? You were the first to bring it up. Do you want to start with your questions about VOD and maybe start that ball rolling?
Okay. So my first two questions will be, as you know, we are using 2-second segments for each, let's say, live streams. But in VOD, as we are making transcoding operation in offline mode, so my question will be, will we use a better windowing period for segmentation? Because as you can imagine, all these NVIDIA cards are working well when they are working on load, when they are under very heavy load. So if I am not mistaken, if my observations are not mistaken, are correct, if my observations are correct, I could clearly say that having a window like 2 seconds is a waste of resources right now in our current position for the VODs. Maybe I'm just guessing. I didn't make any calculations for right now, but maybe having a window for 10 seconds or a wider window would be much more appropriate for this one.
I'm just trying to understand a little bit about what you're talking about specifically. I kind of missed it. Are you talking about the VOD video itself taking up space on like the compute power side of things?
Actually, let me explain again. Sorry if I explain not very well. Sorry for that one. I'm trying to say that, as we all know, we are getting segments for live streams for only 2 seconds of video.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep things live, we have to do that. Okay, we can understand and we can accept that one. But as we are transcoding VOD in offline mode, which means that we can change adaptively. This is the perfect one, but we can change the window of this video in a wider, let's say, duration, like 10 seconds video.
Yeah, the segment length.
Exactly. And my observations are correct. I'm new in here in video mining in here in Livepeer, but I wasn't making mining for more than 10 years. So if my observations correct for these 10 years, especially not AMD but NVIDIA cards are working well under heavy load. So using 2 seconds segments video is waste of resources right now.
Well, okay, so I'm going to try and answer this, but I don't actually know the answer to the end question. So the reason we use 2 segments for live is because, like we've got to pick a certain length, and that's like a good turnaround time, right? Like, and it only comes in as fast as the live video itself, right? So you got to pick a segment length. With VOD, I believe technically you don't need to do any segments. You can just upload the entire video because it's offline. Like if the entire video is 1 hour, what's to say that you need to break it down into 2-second segments, right? Right. Is that what it's so the question I think is, if VOD doesn't require 2-second segments, what is the optimal size of video that we do at a time, right? Like, should we, is that what you're kind of saying?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think we were looking at that recently, Titan, with the keyframe intervals, right? I think it's the same number, 2 seconds on most of them. Could be wrong with that.
Well, we found out,
Two
John.
seconds isn't like a hard-coded thing. Sorry to jump in, but I mean, like, it doesn't have to be 2
Right.
seconds. That's just what they recommend. I mean, you can use bigger segments, and again, I think part of the issue too is that Livepeer just uses single, like, they don't have advanced different profiles for different types of content. So technically for VOD, you'd want to use different profiles that are using B frames and looking ahead and doing all that kind of stuff. You get more efficient compression that way. But for live, you don't have that. You don't have the time for it to look ahead and do all that. You're trying to get it out as fast as possible. So, I mean, hopefully down the road that there's some optimization for using different profiles for different types of content, different uses.
Yeah, like VOD shouldn't even be in the live streaming work, the work order, if you will, because I also asked Yondon about multi-pass transcoding. So the idea is you go over it once, you figure out where the highest rates of compression can be, and you go over it again, and you can, I think, I don't know, Papa Bear, you might know more about this than I do, but like you can do it many times to get a much more optimal compressed video.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, back in the day, everything we did was 2-pass because every bit was important when you were, when the average person was on a 56K modem. But I mean, even using 1-pass, there's still a lot of you can get a lot better quality with different settings. By using different, looking ahead, further and stuff like that, so that you can say, like, I know coming up ahead, these frames are going to need a lot more bit. These frames need more bit rate. These need less. I want my average to be about here. But if you're limited to 2 seconds, then that it's less efficient. The compression that you can do. So and then that also benefits the delivery costs, because you can make the file smaller, or you can get better quality out of the same size. So it's take your pick. But I think ultimately down the road, if there's more options for what you're looking for as a user or as a broadcaster, it just benefits the whole network. Because right now it's just not optimized, especially if you're using it. I mean, it's very unoptimized to use live profiles for VOD stuff. I mean, it's just not. I mean, it works, but it's not optimal, and for you're wasting bits.
Yeah, I feel like live video, like VOD should have its own workflow. Like it should
I
be,
agree.
it should have an entirely different priority of how it's managed. And then what happens also, the pricing, which is what we'll get into in a bit. But right now we're lumping in live video with VOD pricing, which also doesn't really make much sense. So yeah, it's interesting. I can't tell whether they're doing it this way out of being quick, just in the essence of time, rolling out the feature so that it's available. So, we just simply make the live, we piggyback the VOD segments on top of the live video infrastructure, decrease the price, and we can offer this today, right? We can move it onto the public market. Or if this was like architecturally how they were planning on doing it, I'm not too sure.
It sounds like the first that they wanted to get it out. It doesn't.
I hope it's that. Otherwise, they're forcing a 30% haircut on everybody's stream.
Well, there's a couple parts to that. I mean, generally live transcoding costs more. I mean, just if you go to any other company that does that, they charge more for live. So I mean, so you got that part of it, and then again, all the stuff I was talking about before, as far as like having optimized profiles for different kinds of content. So it's definitely not optimal. So I would have to guess that this is just really more of a let's get it out.
I have a quick question. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
How's it going?
What up? So is the way that VOD is being bulked in together, I hear you guys talking about how it's kind of just in the same workflow. Does that mean that the VOD transcoding is in a way just basically playing like a pre-recorded video as a live stream? Or is there another process that like speeds it up?
I think that's actually exactly it. Like they just get a pre-record. It's a pre-recorded live stream. Essentially, I mean, this is very dumbed down, but yeah, and then it gets broken up into 2 segments, and it does it segment based.
So if I had a 3-hour video that I wanted to upload as a VOD, it would most likely take the 3 hours that it would take to play it as a live stream to transcode.
Would it not parallel those segments then?
I don't think it actually works that way because I haven't used the maybe Eric's in the audience. I think when you upload to like Livepeer Studio, I think the whole file gets uploaded and then it does the transcode afterwards. But I don't know for
right. I'm kind of just wondering about the transcoding process, like how long it would take to process a 3-hour video per se.
I think the real question would be how many output formats, right? Like what's the what bit rate profiles are you gonna transcode? If you're just doing one like 780p, no big deal. But if you have 480p, 780p, you have all kinds of different ones. That's each segment will get a copy from each of those profiles. So that's going to take more time.
Right. Okay.
So your original video plus however many renditions you're going to output, that will add on extra time. So at a minimum, it's the length of the video plus.
Got it. Yeah, I only ask because actually, like at Xenon, since we are kind of sticking with the Catalyst route, we basically like have built our own like Python script mixed in with some FFmpeg stuff to accept an uploaded video and then play it as a live stream over the Livepeer network. And then we save those transcoded segments into a different bucket so that they can be returned as VODs. But I was asking because, with the process that we'd have, the processing of the transcoding takes around the same length of the duration of the video. So we kind of like are hacking like a little bit around like not using Studio just for our own purposes because we want to be able to like choose where the transcoding jobs go. But we are very much looking forward to whatever Catalyst VOD solution comes out later.
Funny you're mentioning that because me and some of the crew have been grappling with IPFS storage of transcoded outputs and and being able to on-demand transcode, you know, live streaming segments when you need. So these are areas where we're hacking as well. So it'll be real interesting to see where you guys land.
Yeah, regarding storage of the segments and whatnot, actually at Graviton we have another product called NFT Torrent, which is basically a smart contract that basically kind of distributes rewards for seeding torrent files that are minted through this smart contract, and we're going to be integrating Xenon with that flow, so that a user could like back up their VOD as a torrent file that's linked to an
That's
NFT.
crazy. That's cool.
I like that.
But yeah, the VOD stuff is interesting. I'm actually kind of relieved that obviously, like, I agree that VOD system should probably be operate in a different way and not in the same realm of live streams, but I'm kind of relieved that our solution is kind of in parallel with what Livepeer has released, because it means that we're not too far behind with our hacky solution.
Well, the one thing that I was thinking of that I grappled with is like the YouTube scenario, right? Like if you're live streaming, that's fine. People are watching, you should be transcoding, right? Like that makes sense. But on video on demand, if you upload a video to YouTube and no one watches it, it won't get transcoded, right? So like for just the trigger of a video on demand file shouldn't warrant the cost of transcoding until it actually is needed. And I think that's the part that I'm looking at. How do we solve that? Because I think that's more important.
Are you certain that if you upload a video to YouTube, they don't automatically transcode it?
They definitely do, because I know that for a fact, because
every single upload.
Yes, because when you upload a video, there's a processing time, and when you first go to it, the only resolution that's available is the source resolution.
Yeah, but how long before other resolutions become available? Is it on demand? When you go to hit it that first time, does it then transcode it? Or is it at the moment you upload it?
At the moment you upload it, it gets transcoded. My thing is that YouTube transcoding time is significantly less than the duration of the video. So like what I'm really battling with is the UX of somebody uploading a VOD through the Xenon platform, and then, you know, how do we tell them, hey, like it's gonna be a while, like for a 3-hour movie, that, you know, a short film that they've directed or something, how do we tell them, like, hey, come back in whatever
6 hours
video that you
right.
This is almost why we need a separate workflow. Like, I wouldn't mind dedicating a GPU specifically to VOD, because I know that I can just hammer it with VOD, max it out, and it'll just get done as quickly as possible, and that there's no workflow orders for live video that it's going to disrupt.
Well, I think that's not the problem, Titan, right? Like if you look at it, it's today the way the streams work, as you said, that they're live streams, right? Which means it's serial, because it's live, meaning you're going to be fed the live segments as they come in. And that just means that if you look at total transcoding time, you will have transcoded for the duration of the live stream, the entire video. So, but in the VOD world, you're going to say, I got an hour video, I can chop it up to, let's just say, 10,000 segments. And if it's 10,000 segments, I want to send all 10,000 out right now. Go, all 10,000, and then come back in, 5 seconds. So send 10,000 tasks for all the segments to be transcoded at once and get it back. Or some batch, right? Maybe it's not the whole video at once, all segments concurrently. In that way, that would be a massive spike on the transcoding pool at large. But you want to be able to parallelize the number of segments you can do concurrently and then reassemble it back at the end and save it all. And that's the way you get it from waiting for 3 hours down to, hey, it's done in 10 minutes. That's what Google's doing. They're parallelizing it.
Yeah,
they're parallelizing it, right?
I think Titan was probably speaking on the same issue. It's like there's no reason a VOD should take the duration of the video to transcode.
That's right.
Well, okay, but yeah, I can see how. Well, even that would be even more optimal because you could do it much faster than 10 minutes, or even one one GPU would take, a 3-hour video might take 50 minutes. But like if you use the whole network of Livepeer into 10,000 segments, I mean, if you had enough GPUs, you can get done in 1 minute, right? But the quality of the segments that come back, that's an interesting.
They're gonna vary, and you also don't get the advantages of, like you said, if you want to do 2-pass, you can't do it that way. And again, doing
well, that's why
segments
centralized Google can do that. Right, centralized Google can do that, but a decentralized Livepeer, this is the scaling approach you'd be left to do, right?
That's actually a good point. If you were to kind of fractionalize out the jobs for one VOD out to a bunch of different transcoders, there would be some difference in, like, you might be watching a video and every 10 seconds the quality switches slightly. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a hard problem, and like I'm super happy with the solution that, like, at least we've landed on over at Xenon, because it seems to work pretty reliably. But yeah, there's definitely some hard problems to figure out regarding how to make VODs transcode faster and more efficiently.
Yep. Well, I mean, again, I think part of the reliability and performance board, and this is, I want to bring it up again, but we come back and say, as a broadcaster, I want to be able to send my streams to orchestrators that have the same cost, they have the same profile transcoding options, and they have the same hardware and encoding settings. And I know that still doesn't guarantee that you're going to get consistent quality across it, but I think if you have those capabilities as part of your selection criteria, you get a higher assurance of consistency than you would than going from 30 series card, 10 series card, 20 series card, and trying to put those pieces back together again.
Okay, I messaged Tom, and he said, "Hey, I got family stuff today, but next week, if you remind me, I'll come through, do Q&A session about it." So he can talk on the I think the technical side. And Hunter, he just replied and said, if you want a high level perspective and you think that would be valuable, I can swing by for 15 minutes. I was like, okay, well, because I would like to hear the perspective of one of the core devs who's maybe thinking through this process.
For sure.
So if Hunter arrives, he said he can give us 15-minute perspective from the insiders. So, well, insider as much as Hunter's an insider. I don't know if he's really. Anyway, so yeah, that's some feedback from the team. So next week we'll definitely. I have a feeling this won't be a. I feel like the genie's been let out of the bottle a little bit. Like they didn't really pump up this press release, but yet this is actually, if I'm not mistaken, a major upgrade.
What do you mean? And like just by the genie's
been let out of the studio thing, though, right? But it's not like a core protocol thing.
Well, no, but VOD, like we're getting VOD jobs now, which we weren't in the past.
Correct. They were doing that internally, or I think possibly through a third party. Yeah.
But now we're realizing, like, hey, like if we're gonna do VOD, that's a whole nother set of it's a whole nother task, right? That is optimized in a whole different way, right?
Well, that was kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Is I don't think it really is optimized. Is what the way I understand it.
Can we let Eric up?
What was that?
Can we get Eric up? He has his hand
up. I invited him, but
he's invited.
I invited him to speak.
Okay. Never mind. Sorry.
It's not. By the way, that's not Eric Tang. If anyone is wondering, it's not the.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Eric 3.0.
Yeah.
There's Hunter.
Yeah, Eric 3.0 is our community head of community, or community manager. Great guy, love him. I don't know how in depth he is with the inner workings of VOD, whereas Eric Tang is the co-founder. He might know a little bit more. Hunter, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad. How's it going?
Oh, great. Yeah, we just got on this topic of VOD, the big update that came out just a couple hours ago of it going live. And yeah, we not sure how much you've been working on it or know about it. Can you give us a little update about what your involvement is with it?
Yeah, certainly. So this is something we've had in the works for quite a while, and we've been working to mature the project. The big change this morning, of course, was that the jobs started rolling out to the network. It's actually been going to first-party EOs for a while, but we had to work out some kinks. If you recall, back in like October, November, a bunch of jobs started rolling out to the public network from VOD, and there were a couple of hiccups there. So we wanted to make sure we got those buttoned up so that it didn't cause any problems for anyone's infrastructure. But now, we're rolling back out to the public network. I think we're really excited in general about how VOD is going to impact the demand side of the network. If you look at most of the video that happens on the internet right now, it's really VOD, and I think that's a really exciting prospect for Livepeer, both within Livepeer Studio and for the ecosystem at large.
Definitely. So
one of the things that we were
go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry. I was gonna say, so one of the things that we were talking about was that without splitting out the price per unit for different tasks like VOD or live, it kind of causes, at least for me, it's a little bit like if you want to participate in VOD, you have to take a haircut on the whole platform for orchestrating. Could you speak on that?
Yeah, I hear you on that. That's something that we're definitely aware of, and just honestly have not gotten to yet, but it's something that's certainly on our radar. I do think it's actually interesting to consider that like VOD jobs and live jobs may have different requirements and accordingly may have different value in the longer term. But obviously a step towards that is allowing orchestrators to participate and set prices on a more granular level. So yeah, definitely on our radar.
So yeah, we had like a large discussion before you got here. So obviously we don't want to repeat everything too much. But I guess just a quick overview. I'm assuming that Livepeer Inc. or at least the core devs understand that like VOD and live video have like two totally different challenges, and like so the reason for releasing it now is that just out of essence, the speediness of getting it out. And we'll kind of keep working through the workflow of it, like, or is this kind of the idea is mixing live and VOD together into one workflow?
Can you say more about what you mean there? Is the question of like what the workflow looks like for orchestrators in particular, or how you think about like VOD and live video on the internet in general?
So it'd be more about like, I guess like, okay, let me make it more granular because maybe I didn't do a good job explaining what we just talked about. It's very hard to condense. Okay, let's start with something smaller. So right now, does VOD get chopped up into segments and then sent out to orchestrators as live video workflow would be?
Double check the exact workflow there. My understanding, and again, I did double check this, is that at least in the way that Myth Server thinks about segmentation, live is, for all intents and purposes, a subset of VOD. So like segmenting happens in the same way.
Right. Okay. So segmenting happens regardless of whether it's VOD or live. So kind of what you're saying?
Right. Yeah.
So So then how would something like multi-pass transcoding work, where you can go over it multiple times and re-optimize and compress? Like, is that not possible with segmented video?
I'm not personally really familiar with the ins and outs of multipath transcoding. So I would have to refer you to probably Yaren or maybe Tom on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. I got Tom to agree to come on next week and talk about this. So, yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions that I missed?
I kind of just would like to get clarity around is, I know we talked about this together, but maybe to get Hunter's insight on this. So if I upload a VOD, is it essentially just playing it as a live stream through Catalyst in the same way that a live video would be transcoded?
I think also just to build on that, what Transmetal was hoping for was that since it's not live, could it be uploaded and processed faster than real time?
Yeah, and that's parallelization is possible if that's what you're driving at, and will be coming soon.
Okay. So not currently, but down the road, that's the plan.
Yeah, and in this case, when I say down the road, I mean down the road in like a matter of weeks, not months.
And is that the way that it works on Studio currently, where parallelization is not active?
Currently, yes. But again, like matter of weeks, like that's on the way.
Okay. And then when that comes, will there be some documentation? I know I ask about this every fucking day and I'm sorry, but will there be some documentation around building that into Catalyst like natively for our own image? Because we've kind of basically hacked around using the like same solution without parallelization, but are starting to get into like building our own Catalyst image, and we don't want to operate like that for too long, but we have to bring VODs to the platform like ASAP.
Yeah, I hear you. It'll be in like, the main Catalyst image that we publish.
Okay, that is great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, the slightly longer answer is Mist server supports parallelization in segmenting by default, and we're just like ironing out a couple of wrinkles around Mist segmentation flow there. And as soon as those are good to go, it'll just be in the image.
Well, our DevOps guy will be very happy when I tell him that later today.
I hear you.
Hunter, when it comes to parallelizing the different segments, and I'm assuming by parallelizing you mean like sending it out to different orchestrators all at the same time, right? So it speeds up the process. Is that what you mean by parallelization?
I was referring to the segmentation process itself. This is also an area where Yarn can give you a much better answer than I can. The gist of this is that Mist does the segmentation in an extremely rapid way. I'm not positive how those jobs get distributed across the network, which I understand is probably the more relevant thing for you.
I'm just kind of curious, like, if you took a 3-hour video and you split it up into 8 segment pieces, you could distribute that to, every orchestrator at the same time and get results back pretty quickly, right? But in doing so, you might get varying qualities. So I'm wondering if that is even a process that could happen in the future, or if we need to use the same GPU for the entire video to maintain quality.
It's certainly something that could happen in the future, as I understand it, right? Because that's part of the promise of the network in general, is that there is this concept of verifiability, and if you hand the work to multiple orchestrators that all do the job that's specified, and you can prove that they did that job, then you should be okay. The downside risk, of course, is that one orchestrator fails verification or something like that, at which point you run into a little bit of trouble and maybe have to redo that segment. But I would imagine that it's certainly possible.
Interesting. Yeah, no, this has been a huge update, and us orchestrators are super excited for it, just because of the demand side, that the potential, right? So obviously, the most pressing issue is obviously that the way per pixel on VOD versus Livestream, and then for us figuring out whether like it's worth switching to a lower price to accept more jobs and these kinds of things. So that's like for pressing issue. That's like number one. But then yeah, just overall like how could we assist in making the VOD experience better, right? It's very very cool.
Yeah, and it's definitely something we're really excited about as well. And I think you can expect to see further updates, and especially on the demand side over the course of the next few weeks and months. We'll definitely be looking into how to make the VOD and live pricing experience better. At first, that might wind up being something a little bit hacky, but then we'll certainly move towards a world where there's real granular control over pricing, depending on the characteristics of a given job. So yeah, I think for now, my advice is just keep doing what you're doing here, and I think there are a lot of good things in the pipeline. And I'm sorry I couldn't give more concrete answers on some of the nitty gritty here. There are parts of this work that I haven't been super close to.
No,
but
we just appreciate you coming on last minute and just giving us a bit of a overview of kind of you're the probably with the one insider that kind of might have closest access to this kind of information. So
yeah, absolutely.
One last question. Do you know what percentage of work comes in as live versus VOD in studio currently?
I don't have that number offhand. I may be able to get it for you. Yeah, I'll look into that. But so right now, in terms of the traffic that's flowing to the network, the vast majority of that is live. I expect the balance will shift over time.
Oh, really? So you think VOD will catch up or even supersede live?
It's a really interesting question because it depends on a number of factors, including business development, including anyone building directly on the network. Like if, for example, all of a sudden you have a bunch of like 24/7 live streams come on the platform, then maybe that balance shifts a little bit. But I think if you look at the internet in general, at least in the North American market, a lot of the traffic is coming through VOD. Although I will say that in the longer term trend is more live streaming. But
I agree.
Yeah.
I think VOD, at least in the short term, like with applications building on top of Livepeer, will definitely supersede live transcoding work because of the fact that like a lot of people just aren't comfortable going live, but a lot of like for instance gamers record their gameplay and like post to YouTube every day just for content, and like if there's good platforms built on top of Livepeer with social interaction and whatnot, like people will be uploading clips of videos more so than they will be going live. I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on that note, you're also going to see a bit of a blurring of the line between VOD and live, where people are doing like live streams of pre-recorded broadcasts and then taking live and splitting it into different clips, like you see with things like NBA Top Shot. There's a world of possibility here.
Fair enough. But I also see that live is just going to continue to absolutely dominate the demand side, because I was watching, I think it was a Twitch stream. I was on Theta. That's right. I was on Theta. I was checking out Theta. And some girl was live streaming her cooking. and she's like, "Oh, I have to leave for a bit," and there was just a live stream of a bowl of rising dough, and it was just like for hours. Like it was just recording a bowl of dough, and I thought, man, like most people can't come up with 3 hours of video content to actually upload, let alone this chick literally left her camera on and was like, "Oh no, this is good content." So, there might be more of that, right? Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think the absolute amount of content is going to increase, full stop. I think we're at the beginning of a wave of video creation on the internet that's going to just continue to accelerate. And I think that'll be across both live and VOD.
Yeah, we support your HLS and your live streaming HLS. We support it in our metaverse. So so everybody can live stream and inside of the metaverse and whatnot. So yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Great to hear.
Cool.
Especially if mobile apps build, or if like people build mobile apps on top of Livepeer. Like I think mobile live streaming is probably gonna, it already is probably a bigger live streaming market than it is for like desktop, with like TikTok Live and whatnot, and Instagram Live. Like I think if we can get more mobile apps building on top of Livepeer for live streaming, that'll be huge for the network as well.
Do up and down videos on mobile screens get transcoded?
Yeah, we have. Do you have the Xenon app? Do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
You can grab the Xenon app in the App Store, and you can see it being live. The M3U8 comes with the different resolutions.
So mobile streaming up and, because I always thought if it was up and down, then why would you? It would, it already gets displayed that. But I guess that doesn't make sense because it's, unless it's on an iPhone, you wouldn't really watch it up and down. Like it doesn't get any bigger. Like you wouldn't put it on a large screen TV, right?
Yeah, it's.
But you want to compress it because it's a lot of bandwidth that from the original video.
It still gets transcoded. And like I guess the size of the video you're watching isn't really the determination. Like when you have like a player that auto switches quality, like the determining factor isn't the size of the player, it's the bandwidth of your network, right? So you would still need those lower resolution, those lower steps for the player to choose if your network was struggling a little bit.
Right.
It's really the bit rate that's more important than the size of the resolution.
Right. And if anything, mobile is the exact one you want to optimize bandwidth for, because all 10,000 people are bouncing off of one tower.
Right. It's actually it's funny. A lot of the mobile, like ever since I started working on Xenon and with the Livepeer network, I've like any like streaming application I go to, I always like go to my console on my browser and like look for the M3U8 file that comes through, just to see like what bit rate, what like source bit rate does TikTok live streams come through, what source bit rate do like Instagram live streams come through, YouTube, all that stuff. And it's funny. I see the like bit rates of these like big platforms. They're capping their users bit rate at around like 5 to 6 k at least. Yeah, kbps. So I've been playing around with that a lot and trying to find the most optimal like bit rate for mobile devices to send out.
Very cool. I love it. Hunter, I won't keep you any longer. I know that, thank you so much for joining. Obviously, you feel free to stick around, but I know I asked you last minute to come in and answer some questions. So thank you for shedding some light. I think we're just really excited to get a new a new layer of demand for us orchestrators. It's very exciting.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I'll talk to y'all later.
Cheers.
Thanks, Hunter.
Thanks, Hunter.
Cool. Yeah, I messaged like a bunch of people. I was like, man, this conversation's way too good. I got to get at least somebody in here. I messaged Eric Tang, Tom, Hunter, Yondon, DOB. He's He's the quickest to reply. So
they were
I'm
probably
glad
like,
it was you and not me.
they were like
messaging
Titans.
them.
They were like, I just got a message from Titan. I just got a message from Titan. I got a message from Titan. They're like, okay, who's going to be the one that has to go on and do it?
Dude, this
I'm
guy's
literally messaging them every week about docs for Catalyst.
yeah, but
I
I
think
think
a lot of people would like to see that. I'm glad you're pushing them.
yeah, but I Xenon itself is the star child of Livepeer, so we give you a pass. We want you to succeed.
Appreciate that. We're trying. When we get VODs out there, it's gonna be supercharged for sure.
Definitely. I notice I'm just downloading your app. I noticed that you connect to desktop through the mobile app.
Yeah, so our accounts are obviously Web3 based, and basically, like, I just philosophically have a strong opinion against having your like main wallet or your main account, having to move privately, like export private keys and whatnot. So basically, what we do is we generate a new wallet for your mobile device to like operate off of, and then in our back end, that wallet um, has the permissions to stream for you essentially, and you can disconnect that account and create a new one at any moment if you'd like, but it just keeps our users safer rather than making them like sign in directly through their mobile device.
Very good idea. Yeah, very very good idea. Because
Yep,
I signed up with, so I have a lens handle. Oh, by the way, I got, if last chance to get a lens handle. I was supposed to do this last week. I didn't get around to it, but yeah, if you still haven't got a lens handle, let me know. Or I haven't applied for it yet with the group, so just yeah. But yeah, I use Orb, which is the same. It's a mobile lens app. It's great. It's like Twitter. You just log on and use it. But and so they have they only have a button that says Connect Wallet, and you think, well, I'm not uploading my Keystore file on my phone. Like you got to be crazy. Like
yeah.
like that's the last thing I want to do. And it took me forever to realize that they do have the function where you have to hit Connect Wallet, but then under there's a little button that says log in with email, which doesn't make sense because it's under the Connect Wallet button. And then you click it, and what they do is they authenticate your mobile app using a cookie from your browser that gets emailed to you, and then the cookie allows you to post on behalf of your wallet that's on your desktop.
Yeah, so similar. That seems a little confusing, but similar idea. We basically just make a connection between this wallet address that we generate for you in our backend, and obviously that wallet doesn't have access to any of your main wallet's funds or anything, but the only thing it can do is basically create a stream for you. And like I said, you can disconnect from the mobile app or from the desktop app at any time, and then it breaks that connection. But yeah, we just added chat to the mobile app as well, so I think that it really makes the mobile Xenon app a lot more viable for creators, especially people that just want to do like casual live streams rather than like set up OBS and whatnot. More of like a TikTok style like live stream.
Will there be a feature that you could go live on Xenon mobile app without a wallet, just to get started, and because imagine if I had my phone on me and I wasn't sitting in front of my desktop, I'd be like, what, I have to get on my desktop? Like, oh, well, I'll get to this later.
So we are actually after we get through VODs, because that's like kind of our main focus right now, we're going to be integrating Privy, which is a wallet service, like kind of like Wallet Connect, but they have a more like onboarding normies approach. And what it'll allow us to do is have somebody OAuth into Twitter or Gmail or do an email authentication, and then they actually generate keys and store, or they generate account for you and hold the keys on their back end. But that will allow us to have mobile onboarding directly. We're also going to allow you to like upload the QR code, so like you could technically go into MetaMask browser on your phone if you had your MetaMask wallet on your phone, generate your QR code, save it, and then upload it to the like mobile app, which is like kind of not the best UX. But yeah, once we have the Privy.io integration into Xenon, the mobile app you'll be able to like create an account for Xenon on the mobile app. So that'll be cool.
Very cool. I like it.
That's awesome.
I like it a lot.
I got a quick question for Transmental. Are you guys finding the delay mixed with the chat to be a challenge or an issue, or is that a non-issue for you guys? Like, there's obviously a delay on the live stream, then you have the chat integration as well.
Yeah. So yeah, the chat is instant, but from what I've found, streamers are typically used to that like 15 to 30-second delay between chat and like what their viewers are seeing. Like Twitch has the same thing. It's 15-second delay, but the chat is instant. I guess technically we could slow down the chat and like average out the delay. But I don't necessarily see it as a huge issue. I actually think that it's a good thing because it kind of like lets the streamer catch up. But yeah, I mean, do you find it strange?
I don't think I find it strange. It's just that I mean, I'm not a frequent streamer, but it is something to get used to a little bit. But like you said, it's pretty normal across other platforms out there, so it's nothing new.
Yeah,
it's pretty
like
standard. Like streamers are definitely used to it.
If you go to TikTok and go to like some streamer that doesn't have a huge following, like I watch like traders from different countries, sometimes super late at night, just to see like what's going on in other people's stock markets, and typically they don't have like the biggest followings, but like I'll put a message in and then it's like 45 seconds later they like just see the message. So like I think it's pretty normal for that. Like obviously like our delay was way less when we were using a different like encoding format.
WebM.
WebM, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
But we weren't actually transcoding, so we had to jump off of that.
I will say, so I used to do I used to work for this casino where I do live streams and give away money, and we do it on Twitch, and which we'd get banned. But anyway, weird caveat. But one of the things was I used to do like a Q&A, a question answer like giveaway. And when I first started doing it, I would ask the question over video, and I would wait for people's responses in chat. But what happened was people would get the video at a different rate. Like some people would be like 5 seconds behind, and so there'd be like one guy that always won, and everyone would just complain because everyone gets different delays, and it took me a while to figure that out. And so you just had to work with it. And I find that most live streamers, that have a couple hundred views or something, they understand that everything they say is a little bit behind, and they work around that. So it's definitely like a well-known thing. So I don't think anyone at Xenon would expect it to be any different.
Yeah. I mean, also like, we could play around with delaying the chat. Also though, like a lot of like professional game streamers like actually run like an hour delay, especially like during like competition. And like that, it's just like there's some variables in there that we're not gonna be able to like let a user set a custom chat delay or so it'll get tricky, but I think it's fine. One thing with our mobile app that we're having a really hard time with right now is for some reason Androids hate the library we're using for streaming on like our Flutter mobile app, and like the Android video is just like super choppy, and it's on the Android hardware side, not on the Livepeer side, so we're just trying to figure that out. But that's why our Android app isn't updated yet, is because for some reason Androids do not handle live streaming very well, at least with the library that we're using.
Can I change my also on my phone? I can't. It's stuck at 5 DAI credits per minute. Can I change that?
Yeah, so you go into your connected devices on the desktop. Everything like in this stage of the mobile app, all of your mobile app settings, besides like the stream title and stuff, are in the you have to connect to your main wallet that's connected to that mobile app. But yeah, you just click on your profile image in the top right on desktop, and then go to your connect device tab. And then you can change what your mobile default price is.
There we go. Okay. I'm streaming on Xenon through my mobile app. There we go. I'm going to set it up right beside me so we can watch. So instead of watching the live stream, you can watch me on my phone doing this. Yeah, that's great. There we go. There. It's going to be a weird video. You can see up my nose. There we are. Okay, so there we go. Cool, I got it working. Yeah, it's awesome. No, it's very cool that you can build a Web3 streaming app like that. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, and if you inspect the console, you will see that in the index.m3u8 is coming with the 3 different resolutions. At Xenon, I kind of made the decision to only only send out 720p and 360p transcoding jobs for now. Just because I feel like those are kind of standards. So you get source resolution, obviously, and then you get a 720p transcoded resolution and a 360p transcoded resolution.
So I'm watching it on Xenon though on my desktop, but it's just a blank page.
Yeah, that's what I see as well. We're still ironing out what exactly is the issue with mobile streaming.
I got 3 viewers, but oh my goodness, I got 3 viewers. I don't think they can see or hear me though. 4 viewers?
I can see you. I can see you.
You can see me?
Can't. Yeah, I can see you.
The mobile streaming.
I don't know how delayed it is, but yeah, you just put your face up to the camera. What I just saw. Yeah, I can see you.
Okay,
definitely.
I'm waving now. How long did it take?
I'll let you know. You're rubbing your chin now. I don't know.
At least somebody. So I can't watch myself. This is kind of weird.
There you go, waving. There's the wave right there. So I wasn't keeping track. You wanted to do another wave, and I'll actually.
Okay, ready? Ready. Yeah, I'm waving. Okay. Ready, set, go. Okay, I'm waving.
Okay, 12 seconds after. Let's see. Fun stuff for people listening in, right?
Yeah, right. That's because they're not in on the action at xenon.xyz.
All right, so 10 seconds, yeah.
That's interesting. When I was streaming on there, I was seeing about 30 to a minute. So maybe it depends on the content as well. 30 seconds to a minute.
What orientation am I? Up and down?
Yeah, you're vertical. The delay also kind of depends on if you. So what we've kind of noticed with Livepeer is that when you first start streaming, the transcoded segments don't come in automatically. It doesn't start automatically. Sometimes it's a minute into the video and it finally starts transcoding. And what'll happen is if you join the live stream with the initial index.m3u8 that comes in with just the source file, and your network can't handle pulling that data in, you might buffer for a second and then catch the transcoded index.m3u8 file, or the index.m3u8 file with the transcoded segments. And you might be behind, but if you refresh, you will catch back up, essentially.
I see.
So the delay per viewer could differ a little bit.
Interesting. Cool. Super cool.
There we go.
Yeah, I did try the mobile app a little while ago, and I thought it was really neat.
I'm a second-class citizen on Android, so when you get that worked out, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if you like, it's definitely available on Google Play already, and it works on the more higher end devices. It's just we can't like we're struggling. We have like low end Android devices, and we'd rather it not be like only working for like the super high end devices. So we're trying to find the balance there. But like if you have a high end Android, it should work perfectly fine.
Maybe I'll give it a shot later. I
I'm
gotta
having
remember
a
what account
blast
I have
watching
on.
Titan try to find a place to put the phone.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a. I think it's a little easier. As you can see, I'm on my like little computer, and I got like I'm down in New Zealand right now, so just kind of not my regular setup.
Well, damn, from
Yeah,
New
I
Zealand, that's
feel that.
pretty impressive. Then that 10-second delay from all the way from across, all the way around the world.
Yeah, because New Zealand is notoriously bad for connectivity with live
I
video and
remember
stuff.
you were having trouble with. Yeah, I remember when you were doing Livepeer stuff from there. You were having all kinds of issues.
Coming through okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah, it looks clean.
I mean, I
too.
was streaming in New Jersey
all
on a fiber line, and it wasn't coming in this smooth. So,
because yeah, I'm on Wi-Fi. The internet here is pretty good, but yeah, no, it's yeah, this is not an area that is known for. I wonder what is the nearest node to here. I think it's
Singapore, 5,000
Singapore.
miles.
Yeah, I think it is Singapore. So then if it's getting transcoded
Yeah.
from Singapore, then it's getting sent to you guys after that. Like, that's pretty intense. And it seems to be doing it well, I guess.
Yeah, it's looking crispy.
I'm about to do the distance thing and see how far you are in New Zealand. Maybe rough ideas, but yeah.
Does anyone run orchestrators out that way?
Well, okay, so this is another topic I
Australia.
had, which was so I would like to add a orchestrator to Japan. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a Japan ambassador for Livepeer now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Is that like a paid role, or is that like a volunteer role, or I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea, but they have an entirely different
Seeing-
Discord for Livepeer in Japan. So
That bot that they have in there is pretty dope too. You
it's
just type in
amazing.
English and it's like all of a sudden you're speaking Japanese. It's pretty great.
I know.
And
I feel so smart.
it seems to translate like really well. Like there's really not much ambiguity lost. Is that the right turn of phrase? But yeah, like it seems to like be pretty good. Because I use Google Translate for the Russian channel, and I think Ivan came in there and was like, "This doesn't make any sense. Like what you just said doesn't make any sense." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe Google Translate's not the best."
Yeah, so you're
ChatGPT
5,000
translate
miles
things for you?
from Singapore and about almost 6,700 miles from LA. So it's traveling a long way. It's going all the way from Singapore and then bouncing like the long way back to me in LA. That's pretty. I'm impressed with that 10 seconds.
Yeah, I flew out of LA to come to New Zealand, and so it's hard to believe that it's like in LA that would be the nearest orchestrator. It seems crazy, or maybe not the nearest, but close to the nearest. I mean, the next is Singapore, which is also ridiculously far. But so
yeah, well, Singapore's
would
about
Livepeer need
1,700 miles
to
closer, or about
add an
1,500
ingest
miles
for that?
closer. But yes, sorry, Ben, what were you saying?
Would Livepeer need to add an ingest for Japan for that to work?
Well, okay, but this is my thought process.
They're not using the live. Yeah, they're not using that. They're using the private network, or the public network. So,
What?
actually,
Yep.
so wait, yeah, how is this working? If it goes,
Unless it's
transcoding
a broadcaster.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know who's transcoding it.
You know what I should do?
I can look in the lens real quick if you want. You can find out who's putting that.
Yeah,
please do.
We'd love to know.
So
I can tell you it's not me. I'm not doing anything in Singapore right now.
Oh, that's actually a good question. I wonder if I'm doing anything in Singapore. I have an authentic Singapore transcoder these days.
Ben's got a Singapore stream. I'm going to bet it's Ben.
Well, but hang on. So, Titan, if you wanted to add an O in Japan, the only way that's really going to get serviced is either by a broadcaster that's not using the public network, or B, by Livepeer putting an ingest in Japan, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
like I'm not expecting to get any traffic,
Right,
but
you just want to be able to serve that region and say you are.
that's well, and what I want to do is start building up a a, 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 a list or a profile of people that are willing to connect in Japan, because I'd rather have the supply there before the demand even comes, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and so what I would like to do is, the ambassador, he seems very aggressive, very into this. Like it's pretty crazy. So I don't know what his affiliation is, but he wants to push for adoption there, which means either Livepeer Inc. needs to set up a node, or another broadcaster is going to come in and spin up a node. And when a broadcaster spins up a node, we're going to want to have presence there. And then this came down to my question around us using GeoDNS. I think it's just like a really bad model, and I'm pushing to change that. I would like to use a latency-based model, and I would like it to be integrated directly into Livepeer, so we don't need to use third parties, right?
Yeah, I'm super happy you revived that old issue from like June last year.
Yeah. So I even in the broadcasting channel, I got a response from who is it?
Is it Tom?
From Tom and Rafal and Yondon are both going to discuss. So, because I was talking to Elite, and Elite is interested in working on this, or at least I think he is. I can't speak for him; he's right here. But
Yep.
the idea is either we build a router, which is Orchestrator built and run, and the router handles all the routing, or we simply just modify how the broadcaster discovers nodes. So instead of a single endpoint on chain, we can have multiple a list of endpoints, and the broadcaster would just simply take into account all those endpoints and get the nearest one for that one orchestrator, right? Which seems like the simplest approach.
Yeah, I think that would be super awesome to be able to move away from GeoDNS.
You just disappeared off the screen.
Because also GeoDNS is not like it's funny enough, it's actually latency we want to focus on, and not necessarily because GeoDNS is based on latitude and
Location.
longitude, but like we don't actually
Depending
care
on what
about.
rule you pick. Yeah, like
Yeah.
proximity routing is not really what you want, but that's what some of us are using, right?
It's the only thing I can use because I'm with Route 53 with Amazon, and their latency-based routing is making assumptions. Latency-based routing with Amazon only works if you're using an Amazon like bucket or service, because you have to be on their servers. So if you're not using their servers, they make assumptions. So they just kind of triangulate your distance, triangulate the distance it's coming from, and try make an assumption on how far it would be. And it's
I
like,
wonder if Cloudflare does the same thing.
yeah, they basically
they have a lot
I
more
mean,
points of presence though.
Cloudflare's DNS
Yeah,
is
but
based on they're testing the endpoint. So you can define which regions you want that endpoint to be tested against, and then it will do latency tests to each of your backends from their origins, however many you define. They got 280. So you choose the ones you want, and then it will ping it. And then whatever the results are from those pings, those results would then drive the traffic.
yeah. So again,
That's what their latency test does.
Yeah, it's making it's guessing the best probable route based on the nodes that they are trying to triangulate around, right? Whereas I just don't understand why the broadcaster doesn't just ping the endpoints and pick the closest. Like, it's just such a simple process. They already do it with 100 nodes. Why don't they just?
Yeah.
Why don't we just have a couple? Have a comma delineated list that you could update on chain, and then it would just pick from those, and then I can spin one up and then any broadcaster that wants to spin up a new broadcaster node, by default, they're picking the closest node anywhere in the world. Like, if I spin up a broadcaster node in New Zealand, I don't have to worry about people setting up their geo latency rules through a third party to make sure that New Zealand has good connectivity. It's just pings the nearest one, uses the nearest one, the end. So.
And I think there's, in the discovery loop, it does score the orchestrators already based off something, I guess, discoverability and, capabilities, transcode. I think we may be able to just leverage that for sorting out one service address over the other within a single orchestrator.
So
what do you think about that versus other means of latency test?
So when you say discoverability, it's also keeping in mind the price per pixel and all these things, right?
Yeah, that's already all built in.
That's actually a good point. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's logic already built into the broadcaster. So I don't know why we wouldn't use that logic in the same fashion to ping all the endpoints of that orchestrator, because an orchestrator can have different price per pixels based on different regions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you have to get the price from each node.
In areas where there's lots of capacity, you could say, hey, listen, like, my price per pixel is really low because, hey, lots of capacity and not much work. And then for areas where server costs are high and there's not much capacity, you could say, well, I'm going to charge more. And that would
makes
be
perfect sense.
It would perfectly integrate into the discovery process of that broadcaster function. I didn't even think about that.
And I'm still looking at the code to see. I haven't spent a lot of time on it, but obviously there's the discovery loop that runs when you first start it, and then we've seen it run when it's short of a certain number of orchestrators. So that continues to run. I don't know if it runs all the time on a regular basis, but I was thinking if you did have a list of these orchestrator service addresses, you might want to be constantly at some point checking to see if one needs to be replaced with a different one or something. So obviously when you do the initial discovery check, let's say this orchestrator has 5 nodes, you check all 5, you pick one, and you store it for that orchestrator. But you might, maintenance that list over time as the broadcaster is running. A couple ideas there.
Yeah, that's really
We've
good.
got to develop the idea a little bit more, but I think doing it on the broadcasting side is much better than trying to build a contraption of communication between different processes and things. But it will require a change to I guess on chain, unless you want to create like an additional field to try to make it backwards compatible. You would have it like a breaking change, so you need to obviously build and test that on a real test net.
Not if it was just like a comma delineated list where, if there's no comma, then it's just one endpoint and it would keep everyone the same. And if it was a list, you would look for the comma and say, okay, well, if there's a comma, then we're going to take into account the next one and the next one.
Yeah, that works. I like that. And
then on chain, it's pretty simple. You just endpoint, comma, and you just go until you wish. And then, have some sort of limit. I was thinking 100, but I don't think 10 is enough because I'm going to max out 10 pretty quick.
Yeah, because in a way, it kind of increases your probability of getting work as an orchestrator, right? If you have 20 nodes, I think it just has to be implemented in such a way where it doesn't. As I was talking about earlier, maybe go through that orchestrator's 20 nodes, pick one, and move to the next one, and keep the rest of the algorithm the same. You wouldn't want to just like weight it based off how many nodes somebody had or something.
Yeah, you can just run through the list of the nodes that they've provided, and then it slots in the one that wins, and then those go up against the other orchestrators.
Yep.
By the way, sorry to take us off topic, but I finally found, I think it was Mike actually. Mike's transcoder was doing the work, but there was an issue with it. It stopped giving any upload or download at some point. I assume because of the distance or something. But
yeah, that's
Do you even
cool.
have
I
a
didn't.
Singapore
I mean,
phone?
I'm not in Singapore. I'm in Central Europe. So I think you just happen to be. I got a good score, and it sent it to me.
That's funny. Yeah, he doesn't even have a transcoder there.
well, because we only operate off of like this short list of work. We don't have our we're not routing to a whole live pool.
Right.
Oh, he has a short list of O's,
We have a
and
short
I'm on
list, and
that.
the reason we
I
don't
see.
do that actually is because we can't set priority, and also if for some reason with Catalyst at the moment, if you try to run off of without specifying your orchestrator, you actually don't get any work done. We've tried to figure that issue out, but
Wow.
we couldn't. So that's why we had to like put in a list. So if anybody wants to obviously be a part of the list of transcoders that Xenon sends work to, obviously just ping me, or if you guys have recommendations on who else we should include in that list, obviously let me know. But until they're able to, until we were able to kind of prioritize the orchestrators, then or the entire live pool just kind of works, then we won't be able to open it up all the way.
Makes sense.
Very cool. Oh, and also Xenon.
I appreciate the work you've been sending me, so thank you.
Yeah, same. Thanks.
The app just disconnected. I don't know if that's what we were talking about, but I was live streaming. I didn't turn it off. It just disconnected on me.
Yeah, I was looking through the lens and I saw when that happened actually. I think it's probably because we don't have an orchestrator listed in that area, and you just lost connection with Mike's.
Fair enough.
Blame it on the O.
I wasn't around. So who was transcoding? Who was transcoding? I had to jump out for a second. The door. Someone banging the door.
On a
It was Mike.
non-Singapore.
Yes,
dropped it. Oh man, take him off the list, man. Take him off the list. Not
Yeah,
really.
get rid of him.
He's poor. That dude his quality is hurt.
Mike is transcoding my anime stream right now too.
Dude,
Is it mainly
I love
GPU
it.
it requires for transcoding, or is it there a lot of bandwidth as well too?
Both.
Both.
I think
Yeah.
bandwidth involved up and down.
I've got bandwidth in servers, but no GPUs. Sitting on a 10 gig level 3 connection right now in my office.
Yeah, you've got the biggest problem solved, which, from what I've seen, is usually bandwidth. You can always buy a GPU, but some people just aren't able to get that kind of bandwidth
Well,
in
it's
that
not just
area.
the GPU; it's also having to have the battery backup and the generator and everything to go with it. Because you can't go offline. You got to keep
You're
it
more
running.
than welcome
Well, you
to
can
host a video miner pool orchestrator on
I
your network if
love
you
to
like.
host one. I'd love to host one. I don't even know how to get started. I mean, I've got a /24. I've got everything I need. ASN, whole 9 yards. So I'd be very interested in hosting. In
It's
fact, we
West
have
Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm near Seattle.
All right, maybe we'll ping you offline, Andrew, and see how we can work something out there. But we definitely could use good bandwidth in the West Coast.
Yeah, it's hard to find good bandwidth, I'll tell you. I mean, I won't buy it from Cogent because they're just garbage.
Well, we're at the whim of our VPS providers, right? If we got a VPS, whatever they have, we get, and then it's usually capped and shaped anyway. So
yeah,
cool. We'll definitely ping you.
Oh, I'm excited. It's good. I think the way things are going with the internet, and it's like the way things are going right now, I think is really good. It's like a whole nother internet sort of deal. It's like internet 3.0, if you want to call it that. You had ARPANET, you had the internet with the dial-up and the broadband, and now we're into like everyone has broadband, but we're all on the same public network until we get into decentralized, and that's really, I think, where the future is. Because what's going to happen is I think ISPs at some point are going to be federally required to log data. I mean, as an ISP, I'm required to if I get a subpoena from like the FBI because someone's doing something bad, I have to give them that data. But that's all. Privacy is a big problem on the internet. Big problem. I think if you have home movies or whatever collections you have that you collected and you want to stream those and share those, that's your personal business. You should be able to do that. Granted, it might not be quote unquote legal, but is ChatGPT legal? Helping people with their jobs, helping students with their their essays. It's a tool, right? It's not cheating. It's a tool. Internet's the same way. It's a tool.
Right.
Because
I mean, are
ultimately,
ISPs really legal?
a lot of them are. A lot of them are really evil. Yeah, that's why I started one, because I was sick of the monopolies, and it's ridiculous. You shouldn't have to have a monopoly. I mean, it's okay to have a monopoly, but you still have to serve your customers. And if you don't take care of your customers, then you're another ISP.
Right.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the other topics here real quick? We've gone through broadcast discovery. So that is something that if you would like to chime in on, I think it would be very important I think it'd be a very good upgrade for the entire ecosystem, for orchestrators and everyone in general. So if you want to comment on it on the GitHub and leave your 2 cents, really appreciate it. So we talked about that. We talked about VOD updates. We still have a lot of question about VOD. So Tom will be here next week to talk about that. Do we want to talk about pricing structures of VOD? Elite, you brought that up. What did you have in mind for that topic?
Yeah, this is a good topic. Yeah, Brad came to me a couple days ago when the announcement came out of the pricing. He was like, "Oh, I guess we're going to have to build some pricing mechanism in to determine, what type of streams being passed through." And I thought that was a really great idea. And I just wanted to get people's ideas what types of video we could pass through. I mean, what type of work and jobs could Livepeer support in the future? This is obviously this is a direct benefit to us if we can develop this probably as soon as possible, right? Because then you can set your pricing for a VOD stream at 900, and you're free to do live streams at a higher price. So the idea is that we worked on price for broadcasters, so based on the understanding how that works, pass not just the price back and forth, but also an indicator of price for VOD, or what type of work it is. So you could have some type of indicator, VOD, live, machine learning, AI, whatever type of workload is
3D.
coming back through.
That'd be awesome.
And the price per pixel on that, and so on. And maybe there's a different metric we use for different jobs down the road, but yeah, just updating it to where that could go back and forth. And haven't really validated yet where the tickets are generated. Like, I think those are on the broadcasting side, but whoever generates the tickets, they'll be having a value of based off that price, I think. So yeah, that's just the idea. If anyone wants to help develop that, I know Brad threw some ideas around the other day with it, or if he's done any work in that area. I had some node maintenance and stuff to do over the weekend, so didn't get a chance to dig into that.
What other services that Livepeer could offer that would make sense to have a different price per pixel?
Stable Diffusion would probably have a completely different price, right? AI generated content.
Machine learning, yeah, stuff like that.
Is that something that Livepeer would make sense for? Like, I know Render Token, Render Network, whatever, kind of is focusing on that. Would we even get to Stable Diffusion, or are we just video? Like video.
I mean, that was something that Doug brought up months ago was trying to incorporate Stable Diffusion into Livepeer, and there was some community focus on that a little bit. I know Brad got some GPUs going, but there was never any work done integrating it into Livepeer as far as I know. But it was of interest from Doug. So I think, at least from their side, they find it to be something that could be implemented.
What
I think
about
they just
cloud
need the community
compute?
to do it.
What about cloud compute for 3D? Like for like a Blender integration?
I think that'd be pretty neat. I mean, if I could get something like, I know ChatGPT has Wall-E, the image generator. I think that's really cool. And it could do some really neat stuff, but there's so many of them out there, and they're hard to find good ones, and then they disappear. I for one, would like something like that. You know, make
I
me
mean,
an
just
image.
imagine
Does
if
XYZ.
Livepeer was the one-stop shop for all rendering, transcoding. If you could just
literally.
select an option and get it done efficiently.
Yeah. I know one of the challenges I see here is a lot of people will film video, whether it's on their phone or a DSLR or a camera, and then they go put it on YouTube. If you put any music on there that's already on their list of not allowed stuff, your whole video's done. That to me is a big problem. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah,
Livepeer
that's what-
do? I wonder if there's a need for audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music. I mean, music bots.
Oh,
I mean,
like podcasts, like live
Mhm.
podcasts type of thing.
podcast distribution's a big one too. Run a CDN, that's a big one. Well, it is a CDN basically, right? Decentralized CDN.
I know that there's a service out there called Icecast, similar to Shoutcast, right, where you can run your own Shoutcast server type of deal. And I know that there's different formats for that, like different bit rates. I think that would be a great feature to build in. Just audio only, little roll your own Shoutcast. I know there was one time when I think Icecast was hard to get a hold of because the MP3 codec was proprietary or something.
Yep.
And you had to go get that lame DLL from some random place of the internet.
It's like DivX back in the day.
Yeah, and then all these bigger platforms took over, and I think that'd be kind of nice. Although a lot of people aren't doing just internet radio, but it definitely would be neat to see a real decentralized provider in that space.
I feel like if we got into like rendering stuff, that would be too off topic for like live. Like we can barely handle the VOD upgrade, let alone like starting to branch off into like more obscure things.
Well, I feel like granularity would have to be added to Livepeer to be able to point certain workloads to specific GPUs before any of that could be implemented. But like long term, when that granularity is there, and when we have options to send workloads to whatever GPU we want, I mean, why not? If someone has a 4090, it's not really optimal to be using that for just transcoding. I mean, you might want it to just handle VOD or handle some rendering or whatever.
Or do we just focus on the one thing that does really well, and then let other protocols deal with other things that they can do really well? Like, like rather than us making a CDN, why wouldn't we just fully integrate with Media Network, right? And like really make that a smooth process. And then us orchestrators, we're node operators. We will run Media Network stuff, and we'll run render token for rendering things, and really optimize for, rather than putting everything into Livepeer box, let Livepeer do the live video. And then has anyone looked at joining the render network? I'm kind of just looking at it right now.
I've looked. It seems very private. I don't know. Like, there's no docs on running nodes or anything, as far as I can tell.
Because they were bragging,
Their
someone was
website-
bragging around how Render Network was the largest network of GPUs in the world, and I was like, bro, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm not sure how
That was Penguin or whatever his name was.
I mean, that's run by some like Hollywood guys, and they're really good at PR and stuff like that. So when I looked at it, I mean, there was a lot of flash there. I haven't looked at it recently. I don't know how active it currently is or what they're doing now, but
there's no join button. There's no like put up a node button, there's a crap ton of marketing.
Yeah, they're big in marketing.
That to me is a red flag. I mean, like, okay,
Yeah.
how do I run a decentralized node for this? Oh, you can't.
There's no community behind it at all. Yeah.
Where are the GPUs?
Right, because right
We
here it
can't
says
tell you.
how to get started as a node operator. And then it says to join the network as a node operator, complete the render network interest form to be added to the onboarding queue. And it's like, wait a minute.
Oh, wait, where is that? I don't see that on their site.
Right here. You have to search the docs. Here, let me post it in chat. Cuz it's interesting. Like I'm not a Livepeer maxi, right? Like I'm a Web3 maxi. So for me, like if I can find networks that work well with what we're doing here, then that's optimal, right? But
of course,
it doesn't. I mean, the fact that you can't just spin up a node is already kind of weird. I mean, Livepeer is already bad enough. I mean, 100 orchestrators. Like, why is there a cap, right? A lot of people have this question. And like Polygon, like I wanted to go spin up a Polygon node, but there's 100 cap, and I can't get in. And I'm like, well, that's not, how decentralized is that, right? That doesn't, but how decentralized does it need to be when you're running a network that is supposed to be in charge of all social media transactions? Like you don't want poor performing nodes, right? Whereas, Bitcoin and Ethereum, no one can stop you from running a node, right? Nobody, there is no interest form, right? You just join if you want.
I think this is pretty new. It's actually really cool that they have a whole docs page on this. I don't remember seeing this before.
Please note, new node onboarding is currently paused. Please follow the official Render Twitter and Telegram channels for updates.
So they're in like a beta phase of some kind, I guess.
But
can someone jump on their Twitter? Because I can't get on Twitter right now. Like, when was the last time you posted on their Twitter? Like, are they active? Like, is their Twitter? Is there someone posted recently there? I don't know. I'm asking.
I think so. Like, I literally commented on Render's new mint and burn economic model. The reason this brought up is because there's this long tweet thread around how they're switching from a model where you pay in render tokens for the service, so the node operator gets the token that you pay, to what's called a burn and mint. So instead of paying the node operator, you just burn them, and then a static amount of network tokens are minted to GPU providers, node operators, based on the amount of work they do. And so there's like this economic model where as usage goes up, more tokens get burned than minted. Therefore, it's deflationary, which blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was all Ponzonomics, it seems like. And Nico, you know how Nico is. God bless Nico. He has an ability of calling people out on Twitter. I don't know what it is, and he basically just tore him one and was like, "Yo, like, just because your token's deflationary doesn't mean it's good." And deflationary protocols tend to favor token holders as much as active participants, which also isn't necessarily a good thing. So,
hey guys, this has been great. I gotta hop.
No worries,
Have a good day, everyone.
Great to have you, as always.
Yeah, their Telegram is active. I see J.J. Abrams is chairman, or he's involved somehow. I don't know. Whenever I see a celebrity name tied to a crypto project, makes me want to cringe a little bit. That's just me.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Hollywood agents, I think, that started, or people in like that part of the industry, and I'm the same way, or I feel that way about those people because I have worked with a lot of them in the past. I don't trust any of them.
If this actually works, I mean, that's pretty huge. It'd be awesome to have a network like that for us to run nodes on as well. We have a bunch of GPUs lying around. They've been around for. Does anyone know how long exactly they've been around for? At least a year or 2 years, right?
Oh, several years, yeah, I think.
And they're still not like open. This is just weird.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is, how do you weed out the true Web3 projects from the fake Web3 projects? Because, fake Web3 projects exist in probably a greater magnitude than any of us would want to believe.
Yeah, I think you got to look at the value that it provides, like in the real world.
The value, and you look at who they're partnered with, and if they're partnered with Google and Amazon and Samsung, then they're not Web3.
Yeah, that's the other side of it too. Absolutely.
Or just incompetent people with marketing plans. Like I met a guy over in Amsterdam who had this project. I won't name the project, but basically it was we're decentralized compute. We're better than Livepeer because you can run any program you want on our decentralized compute, and you pay for what you use. And that was like, and he's like, yeah, so it's an open marketplace of compute. And I was like, okay, so how does it work? Like, and he's like, oh, and he was one big marketing spill. And I was like, technically that's difficult, right? Like Livepeer only does one thing, and it's still like insanely difficult. Like, we do live video transcoding, like a subset of like an issue, and like getting TrueBit to do verification of the video that comes back is like, a big research paper. Let alone you're just gonna like spin up this thing where it's just gonna work, right? So, yeah, and he happened, he's throwing a party and everyone gets free wine and drinks, and it was just really like, okay, really bizarre. And I still don't know if he, but he was raising money. That was the key. He was raising money. So, yeah, I don't know. I find it interesting, but finding protocols that work well with Livepeer, I think, will be interesting for us node operators. So keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out for things that make sense.
Zoop has been really good at finding those too. I know there's Media Network, there's Streamer, which you can run tons of nodes for.
Yeah, Streamer seems to be a very interesting one. But like even Media Network, like you still can't run an edge node. Like you still can't.
Yeah.
Right. That's coming though, right? At some point, eventually, one day.
But isn't that what they all say?
Yeah,
Right.
I've been doing some digging on Media Network, and apparently they said that about a year ago too, and repeated it. But they were very specific about like by the end of this past year, and that was just back in November or so. But then I heard that a lot of the media tokens. This is just I think what I read in their Discord, but I don't know if it was a guy of authority who said it. That some of the media tokens most of them got locked up in the FTX situation, and the media token itself kind of has a issue as far as I guess how many are out there. I know there was a distribution schedule that was gonna go on for years, but yeah, so I don't know what the deal is. They said like the existing thing where you stake 25 tokens, use their CDN, it still works and continues to work, but they're planning on changing their whole model a little bit. I don't know if that still includes media token or how that works, but it seems to have not really hurt the price at all. So I don't know what's going on with that. But I'd just like to see more consistent, dates and stuff from them. And I have seen their software working, and they have a really great implementation of the Node.js media server, which has like FFmpeg built into it, with their CDN solution built in that actually streams video and has stream keys and all that built in. So I was thinking about hooking Livepeer into that, right? Kind of, it literally calls FFmpeg like a process from Node.js.
That's pretty cool.
And you could do the same thing with Livepeer.
We already have that running. Yeah, we already have that kind of stuff running. Like we're using the Node Media server, and we're relaying the streams from that to the broadcaster who sends it out to the public transcoding pool. So we've been doing a lot of testing on that stuff recently.
Perfect.
Really awesome. Really awesome.
Does the Pure Pool piece, how much does that play a role in the performance of it? Is it like browser to browser mostly?
Yeah. So as far as that part goes, there's a couple components. So if you're using the media DCDN, it's an extra boost into that, but we weren't using that. But the other part is the participants who's watching it. So in our testing, we were doing some testing this weekend, and if I'm watching a stream in Pennsylvania and someone's watching it in LA, or you know what I mean, like there was still peer pooling going on between us in different parts of the country. So if you have a more densely populated area, those streams are going to go straight peer to peer, and you won't have any bandwidth usage on the media CDN network. So it's really, really efficient.
That's amazing. I think it's really great technology that they've built. It'd be nice to be able to run your own node, but it sounds like that peer pool handles a lot of the load too. But if there's any way we can build like broadcasting solutions that make it easier to get up and going with Livepeer kind of pre-built into that, that's
Getting
gonna be
people to be able to stream.
Yeah, you're using my words exactly. I mean, that's what I said for a while, is that the broadcast is hard, but if you can just spin something up like this media network node server and point to a broadcaster, oh dude, you're in gold right there.
To be able to get people to get online and to stream stuff easy, that's perfect. That's awesome. Because it's not easy to stream anything this day and age. It's really difficult.
Yeah, to be able to build like a little streaming site, and it's something as simple as a Docker node you pull and spin it up and configure with the web UI. People would just jump on that. We have like, the price for broadcaster allows you to set like a free stream. Titan had built a little pre-built package that had that already set up, and I think a few of us, I know, I set his broadcaster ID there. So it's sort of like a little project you can just start up and run. It's packaged in like Python. And that's one way to get started. But if you put that inside of that bigger package where it's a turnkey solution, I think that's a big selling point.
How has anyone seen any more VOD work come in since about 8 hours ago?
How would we know what's VOD or what's like? Can we tell? Do we just look at our VRAM usage, or like what do we do?
I like to use the eyeball method. You
Fair enough.
You adjust your Grafana to the last 7 days, and you just kind of turn your head a little bit and see what you can see.
Okay, so the usual method then.
I think a lot of them have low bit rate aside from it. I don't know. I see 240p 0, low bit rate. That's something I don't usually see.
Wouldn't it be like a bunch of streams that come in out of order? Like, wouldn't you just get random segments? Like, wouldn't that be one way to determine it? Like, you're not getting a continuous sticky stream, right? You're just going to get a block of segments, or just a handful of segments here, a handful of segments there, and they're going to go away, right?
Yeah, I would expect to see a different format.
This is the question we have for Tom about the workflow of this stuff. Like, how does this all work?
I mean,
I will say,
just looking at my Grafana, it looks very similar to just normal Grafana.
I gotta jump out here, guys. Good talking to you.
Later, Andrew. I will say that the projected
I don't see any
daily
like
fees
crazy
for me-
spiking going up like I was during the VOD stuff, but I know there was a lot of issues, just like technical issues going on during that time. But I don't see anything that looks odd or like different than standard, like just normal.
Well, I just figured they would have demand hasn't started yet. Like, we got to see. Like, I guess they announced it, but like, unless there was a customer like waiting to turn it on this morning at 9 a.m., like, I'd imagine it's going to take a little bit of time for us to see some profiles of work coming in.
That certainly makes sense too. I do expect it to be lower bitrate stuff. From what I understand, stuff that's stored on IPFS doesn't stream well at high bit rates. So,
I know they were storing like 240p on IPFS, because that will actually, you can almost use IPFS as a CDN if it's at 240p.
that may be what I'm thinking of. So yeah, I'm just looking here to see what kind of profile's been coming in.
Because yeah, that was a weird thing. I was watching a video I put up on LensTube, and the very first rendition, it would only show it to you in 240p. Like you couldn't change it. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. But it would load right away, and it was like downloading off IPFS. So I was like, oh, interesting.
I mean, I do see some 240p streams that came in the last 3 hours, but looking at this, if based on this, I'm about to put my price back up to the old pricing.
Yeah, well, it's a weird, yeah, like so, yeah. What's the right answer, right?
Right now, based on what I'm seeing for my node over the last, let's put it even to 6 hours. It's go back to old pricing. I mean, I see 2 streams that came in at a 240p resolution, and they're relatively short.
Well, I'm comparing 2 nodes too. We adjusted Chase's to under 900, and then we kept mine at like 1200, and then so we're going to compare the 2 over the next day or 2 and see what happens. So hopefully I'll be able to report back.
Yeah, Chase will have gotten the same amount of work and will have collected less price per pixel, 30% less to be exact.
Yeah, which is kind of a gotcha at this point,
Right. If you're not getting the work, you're basically taking a haircut, as Ryan called it.
I need a haircut, but not that kind of haircut.
Me, I have no hair, so if I get a haircut, I'm already bald. I'm getting scalped.
That's too funny. All right, any last comments before you sign off?
Just put on the chat a picture of new stream formats I saw coming in since VOD started. Maybe it might be useful for someone.
Also,
I don't know.
Last chance to get your lens handle. Please put your thing in the forum. I'm going to be submitting it today, so at least hopefully today. Yeah. And then as soon as you get your lens handle, please follow TitanNode and follow each other orchestrators. So look each other up, follow each other. Yeah. So then you can feel like you're loved a little bit because you'll get at least 10 followers. But also maybe it'll affect some algorithms depending on the app you use. So that'll be interesting. Cool. Any last comments before we sign off? Bada boom, bada bing. I like it. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Pleasure doing this every week. I really enjoy it. And yeah, we're going to try and get Tom on here next week for a Q&A session. So hopefully looking forward to that. Cheers. I think that'll be it. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Titan.
Thanks. Bye.